Hello there. This is Fimbly Jim. I am here again to showcase something a little not different, but this is more of a build showcase rather than a staff showcase, but it does feature the flame staff. This build honestly comes close to rivaling the effectiveness of the lightning staff, which I covered in my previous video, that I feel is the best staff. The Rifthaven Mark II Purgatus I've been having a lot of fun with, and I honestly think it might be the best, or sorry, second best staff next to the lightning staff. The lightning staff just has so much utility that it's hard to justify not using it all the time, but there are weak points. And I've found that if you can figure out how to use this, you can keep enemies off you pretty decently and keep yourself alive. Not as well as the lightning staff. The lightning staff is pretty much no effort in terms of keeping enemies away from you and lasering things and all that. It's pretty much no effort, the lightning staff. So this one has a little bit more effort to it, but the reward, in my opinion, is a little higher on this if you can manage to keep yourself alive. But the build we're going to look at in order to make that happen is, I call it my warp charge farm build. So the logic behind this is right here, that warp charges give you 3% damage. But as a staff user, I primarily use my staff. I don't brain burst every target, and I find it annoying to have to constantly be brain bursting just to keep my stacks up and constantly worry about that. So I made this build so if you're like me and you don't like that, now you don't have to worry anymore. You can just use your staff and be a wizard, and your stacks will come. They'll flow very, very rapidly. For our resource management, we go with warp absorption. I was using this before. I was using quietude, but I think this is better on the lightning staff just because you're not killing as many people. And you're also probably quelling a lot more than you are with the fire staff. But this is good. Still, this is good. But with this, you will be killing so many people with the fire staff. It's the only staff that I've ever seen have people like in your group call you out for getting lots of kills, which is a mechanic in the game. Instead of saying like a random blurb in the corner that you're like on fire, your teammates will be like, oh, like make some remark and compliment you in some way. So this, you'll be killing lots of enemies, and being at the front with your flames, getting toughness when you kill an enemy with a warp attack is so good, because you'll basically be at full toughness the whole time. So that's really good. And then we want this. We really want Psychonetic's Wrath, because you gain more attack damage based on your current peril. And with the fire staff, you can sit at red peril for so long because of this. You have a 10% chance to quell peril on kills, and since the fire staff, you're killing so many people, this happens a lot, and you'll be bouncing between 70 and 80%. I think I had an instance where I was at 90 for probably 10 seconds, and it kept jumping down to 80 and jumping down to 80, and I was just going and going and going. So my damage was increased by 15%. So very good. You'll have a lot more damage. This is where it gets different. I usually would recommend cerebral lacerations because it's just good for bosses. However, I've noticed that despite this ability, you still melt bosses. Like sharpshooters on your team still do crazy amounts of damage to the boss, and like you're still fine. And there are instances where there is no boss. That being said, like, you can always run this, but for this build specifically, we're using Psychic Communion. So whenever you or an ally in Coherency kills an enemy, you have a 4% chance to gain a warp charge. So if you are right next to somebody, you basically have at a minimum 8% chance every time you kill an enemy to gain a warp charge. If you have your full team near you, it goes up to 16%, and that's just from this. So this is giving you 16% per kill when everyone's near you. So this is a passive way to get warp charges, and it's very effective. This is to essentially keep yourself alive longer, and you're going to be using, this is just in my opinion mandatory. Your quelling speed, your movement speed while quelling will be so nice that you can be like throwing fire at people that keeps them away, back up, charge up your fire, and hit them with it. Very, 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 very good. And then we're going on to kinetic flare, which there are options here. But I sat here for probably an hour just looking at these three and like weighing the pros and cons for all of them. This is the best one, 100% the best one, and I can give you a few reasons why. People might say this is really good. This is not. Okay, at max stacks by default, you get 12% more damage because it's 4 warp charges at 3% per stack. That jump is not really worth it, in my opinion. It's okay, but it's not the best. And I'll explain why. And this one is while having maximum warp charges, gaining a warp charge instead applies 4 stacks of Soul Blaze to a nearby elite enemy. This is kind of redundant. You're burning everything around you all the time. And you don't really, I don't know, it just doesn't, it's not necessary, in my opinion. Where this is essentially another way to farm more of our warp charges. Because when you brain burst something and you kill a target with brain burst, you get warp charges. So this is now 10% on hit to brain burst, which with the fire staff is every time you cast. I don't think I've seen this not pop. Every time I've cast in like a big group, whatever, this happens. And I am, do not quote me on this, but I am about 80% sure that the soul flame burning over time has a chance to proc this as well. So that little small dinky number of damage now has the ability to one-shot certain enemies and give you back more charges. So with this, 10% here, you would normally, I'd say most of the time, have like 8% here, but it can go upwards of 16%. So between these two, you have a 26% chance to get a warp charge passively. But we're not done yet, because you come over here, and this is probably the best crescendo to the build. This essentially lets you expend all your warp charges. And you'd be like, well, why am I doing that? Well, it'll apply burning to literally every enemy in front of you on top of your push. And the biggest part about it is the second part of it, where enemies killed by any source of Soul Blaze have a 10% chance to give you a warp charge. What this means, your entire attack is Soul Blaze. You're constantly applying Soul Blaze. Even if you're doing damage, you're doing damage with a warp attack, and Soul Blaze has the contact effect of Soul Blaze. So essentially, you have a flame staff. Your ultimate imbues everything with fire, and anything that's on fire gives you a 10% chance to get a warp charge. And while you're doing damage to anything, you have a 10% chance to get essentially a warp charge with Brain Burst. And then over here, you also have, whenever you or an ally kills an enemy, a chance to get a warp charge. And then with this, your damage is going to be through the roof all the time, because it's going to be up all the time. And then here, you're going to get toughness. This whole build is about maintaining warp charges to maximize damage output and also make your ultimate hit like a truck. So that's the build, and I'll be using the only staff I have right now, the only flame staff I have right now, but it happens to have a very powerful passive that I sort of think might be the best passive for this staff, where you get minus 8% charge rate on on chained secondary attack, and it can stack 5 times. So if you're casting, you do a quick cast, then you can do the next one. The exact same amount will be 8% higher. You do it again, it'll be 16% higher. Then you do it again, it'll be 24% higher, and on and on and on and on, until 40%. Which you can essentially charge up to max, like completely max, with a 40% boost. In the time it would take to just quick charge. This is really good, especially with the burn rate one. But anyway, that's the build. Hey, shrug. Anyway, that's the build, and we're going to get into some games. We'll be playing on Malice difficulty. So I normally don't wait for players to jump in. I sort of just get right into the schmeck of it.
These soldiers don't seem stress.
The players will join. So I encourage you to look at my warp charges as I play with this build. I'm just gonna play it out normally, like how I would, and you'll see. This modifier also has more hordes, which fairly obvious is where this staff shines. And see, I already have a warp charge. Didn't take too much damage there. At 2 stacks, bottom left.
We've got a ranger.
And then we can burn him and then push him off.
Just no longer a problem.
That's just Geneva Convention, those guys up there.
Precision fire. Taking the shot.
Ooh, not good. Oh, really not good.
Wait, which?
Oh, wow. Oh, there was this. Let's see, this is what I hate. They spawn enemies, like, behind you. So we got a little bit rolled by the sniper in the back, but I'll continue to showcase the rest of this.
I had a truly splendid conversation with Stephanie earlier. What a charmer!
If you want me for your little swap, I'm more likely to die. Creepy is what she is.
Now we don't have our stacks right now. That's okay, because we'll get them all back in just a second. And there's 1 stack. And 2 stacks immediately, bottom left. That was an immediate cast.
Critical target. Stop Parasol, who choose fury over faith.
Is that a med station?
Ready your weapons, pilgrims.
I didn't want to be here.
We got our stack back.
Here they come.
I am unstoppable.
And we're at 4 stacks already. Yeah, and see there on the bottom, they're commenting on how many kills I'm getting. And nothing is getting through. There is a horde here. And my charges...
Active as you might sing, Zealot.
Faith is the strongest weapon. You should try it.
And I'm at full stacks right now, bottom left. And that is very easy to maintain when there's enemies around. And then if I want to keep it, I can just be like this. Oh, I'll just keep my stacks. But I don't personally like... I would have done that anyway, but I don't personally like micromanaging my what's it called? My brain burst. And I got it back. I fucking hate the dogs. Oh, it's a mauler. Big guy, scary guy, and he's dead. This is also the combination... Oh, another one. I think they need to change the spawns of some of these characters. Spawning behind you is a little silly, but... Three stacks. Maintaining it. A suggestion too with this staff, it's one of... Oh.
That definitely hurts.
I feel another headshot. The Ranger lies slain.
Wash me or die.
You want to, when you're using this staff, you want to use your left click more than other staves. Where other staves, I would say you don't really need to. This one you really do. As it can light them on fire and protect you from, like, it'll stagger them. It'll stagger them when you cast with your like little fart like that, and set them on fire to begin with.
Veteran, take heed. Ammunition.
And it'll just give you a second to. They'll be stunned for a second, then you can charge up your.
You see anything that isn't one of us lot? You put it down.
You can charge up your full charge, like that, and then get rid of the rest of them.
Share the ammo. Won't warn you again. Put it to good use then. Taking the shots. The Emperor's in need of you
It looks
all.
like you can get access from here. Set your things to interrogators.
Ammo.
Fortunately, a pretty straightforward mission.
That's quite enough out of you, Major.
Despite them being armored, they still don't like being on fire.
Reloading.
There is no bonus damage to enemies on fire, which I feel like over time there should be because the armor heats up, but initially it makes sense.
Ammo.
Go there!
We have 4 stacks right now, sort of unintentionally. And now we're keeping our stacks up. And my cooldown is staying in a pretty good spot.
Data stream ceased. You are certain you installed the data interrogator correctly?
Getting focus fired a lot this video. Or focus with traps. Probably this dog's coming after me too, I'd wager.
Cover me!
That Psyker needs cover.
Dude. Need cover, boys.
Blast this off.
Nice. That fucking dog.
No interruptions. On Messiah be praised.
Get our stacks back up. Get some more damage going. Where am I getting hit from?
Interrogator status inoperative. Remedy reboot.
I'm at 4 stacks right now.
I think I preferred when they tried to swarm us.
Another brain burst.
There they are.
Like I said, this thing procs brain burst pretty much whenever it's possible. I'll be at 4 stacks nearly the whole game. It's a little less deliberate if you're trying to do that challenge. I don't know. I'm getting. Get a little overwhelmed. I'm not able to recover. Don't really know what I'm getting shot by.
They are coming! A holy grenade! Box burst the splitters!
Need to get this thing going.
Magnificent Emperor!
But as you can see, I try to focus the staff primarily instead of switching to my weapon, which isn't necessarily the smartest way to go. But I just kind of wanted to show that it's definitely possible if you have zero interest in using anything other than magic, you can do that for sure.
That's it. That's the key. Take the outpost to redirect the train.
Jesus Christ, man.
Psyker target inbound. Now you just have to intercept them and finish the job.
Get rid of all these guys.
Bids you rise and fight!
That was brutal.
Forgive my lack,
Dog gets stopped,
but the adept
and we killed him.
parties are even less
And we're at 4 stacks.
my kind since the Imperial Guard.
Spice Marines bring death.
I hear a blaze already.
We can keep it burned. See, we're still chunking this thing. Like, even without my damage fit, what is 15 more % when we kill it in 15 seconds? That was close.
Your weapon works better when loaded, Templar. Amon! Follow me, and I will guide your way.
So, how I usually operate is I will switch between the flame staff and the lightning staff depending on the modifier. So, if there are fewer hordes, usually means more elites, which means lightning staff. More hordes means more hordes, which means fire staff. That's usually my operation. But like people, like I said before, people switch between this and the void staff, which I don't blame them because they're both, you know, good guns. Or sorry, whoops, good staffs. We're not heathens using guns.
Face my incompatible.
Got rid of him. This is a weak point of the this staff, is it can't really deal with pox bombers very well.
Face your maker, hound.
Oh yes, let's charge those defenses. It'll be fun.
Got rid of all them. We have 4 stacks still.
We got the big beauty!
Oh, there's 2 of you, or maybe I didn't kill this guy. Oh, he's dead.
Benefiting Emperor. Why have you...
And it seems that the force sword can actually apply brain burst too. I guess the damage has a little bit of a force modifier to it.
Don't have much time. Press forward. I want that target dead.
Magistrat and catechizer post. Here are the heresies of the flesh are laid bare.
Cover me!
Giving no answers. They aren't pilgrims. Fighting his
I'm gonna stand right here. We're not gonna move. We're gonna move.
Main station!
Cover! Take it out now!
As long as you're using your left click to keep enemies, like, it just CCs them for a second. Oh. Oh, it didn't blow. Oh, it did blow up. It was a delayed
If
blow
the
up.
fight goes bad, take as many of them with you as you can. We fight to our last breath. The
Got somebody. Where's that bomber?
His grenades aided him little.
At last, reckoning is at hand, bomber!
And we're still at 4 stacks.
I sometimes think the common soldier has an easier life
I
than
think I've noticed too is the flame staff doesn't seem to immediately push off the dog. It doesn't, which I think is because it doesn't have knockback really. And that thing's dead. God, the bombers, man! This level has so many of them. Fuck is he?
Now you die, hound!
Got him. There we go. He's dead.
should end the grenades. Make for the stairs! Rage is no longer a problem.
Perisol! Who shoots fury over faith!
Face my incomparable
Be free!
Now you're not done yet, skeleton.
2 stacks. This build's just very efficient at ramping you up to the stacks you want.
Beneficent Emperor, preserve us from the mutants!
Eliminating primary target.
And we're just gonna keep going. I'm cooling down as I'm attacking. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of that, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of this action. And we're just gonna kill literally everything here. That guy was gonna shoot, but now he's on fire. Grab him.
That's the bomber dead.
So this staff with this build has
We're making good
a very steep amount of power. I love the lightning staff. I still say it's the best staff, but this one with its full build competes with it for sure. Because you don't really need a build for the lightning staff to be good, but this one you definitely need a build. Otherwise, oh.
Focus fire. A sensitive thing behind me. Try that.
I'll get all my stacks going on that guy. One shot the Hogren.
Kill the gunner.
Maybe I didn't one shot him, but he's dead now. Another thing to note is this staff has unlimited ammo because of the... I mean, you're just dealing with warp charges the whole time. I haven't found a way to deal with them properly.
Now! I bring redemption!
Let's show those bastards, soldier. Stay together.
Focus fire.
Lightning staff is the best at dealing with pox bombers, there's no question.
Here you go.
Big and dead!
But you actually do help your team more in the boss fights by instead of just all focusing the boss, which is always great. You focus the ads. 3 stacks from that.
One of you is going to shoot me in the back. I just know it. Ah, a healing station.
Grenade.
Ammo crate!
We have 3 stacks currently, but what we'll likely do is we'll hop in, try to pop the shield initially, and then once that's done, we will
Scat bomber! Break the bomber!
we will switch back to our staff and just keep the ads off of our team.
There's ammo here!
Very well.
Sell it!
Show me what you've got.
And a few of these.
Fired and locked in. I want it dead.
And then we'll quickly switch back because they're going to come out of some door. Oh, there they are.
Another ranger! Send them down! Oh, you're dead.
Let's give him a little bit of fire as well.
Pull your veins next time!
See, soldier! I got you.
Dark Avenger, please!
We have all these ads. Bunch behind them. Get rid of all of them.
You're not done yet.
Wash me now! Show us how it's done!
Oh my god. I have like...
Beware! Sniper!
Ah, the snipers.
Anything right here!
A little bit of a rougher game,
Eliminated!
but overall I think it showcased the build. I'm still cooling down off a stack.
Are you here? Is it dead?
Those are some ghastly wounds and no mistake.
Got another stack off that.
Kneel! Kneel!
But and that's the build. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that if you are a aficionado of the flame staff, that you use this build. It is profoundly good. I think it accentuates what makes the staff very good. Definitely my swap. I definitely swap between the lightning staff and the fire staff depending on the horde type. The lightning staff generally feels better for protection and all that, but the fire staff feels better for that level of horde that we were dealing with. Feels really nice. I'd also say that the fire staff is really good for the boss room itself, but I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff, just let me know. I can test more stuff out. I can even do a void run too, even though I hate it. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I will see you guys later. Bye.